Hey everyone, this is Chris, and you're listening to One Cross Radio, and today I'm joined by
Steve Lambert.
Word, and we are back to talking about Star Wars The Last Jedi, because, well, quite frankly, I can't stop talking about it. Most people can't either. It's months, well, not months, it's a month removed from the release date. Jumanji just knocked it out at the top of the box office. That's not relevant, but Jumanji's a fun movie. You should check it out. Seriously, check it out. It's a fun movie. And people are still debating online and everywhere how good The Force... I was about to say The Force Awakens. That one's still debated, but The Last Jedi is...
Well, I like The Last Jedi better than The Force Awakens. So.
Oh, yeah. No, well, that's the thing. I do too. As much as I have gripes with it, it was its own movie. It wasn't just...
We're talking about The Last Jedi right now?
Yeah, The Last Jedi. It was its own movie. Yeah, it was Empire and it riffed off of Empire and Jedi, but it was still very much its own movie.
It had a little bit of, I think, the hope thing from A New Hope as well. A little bit. It was a combination of all that stuff in there. Yeah,
but there was certain points, though, where it's structure-wise, I'm like, oh, okay, we're splitting everybody up because we're going for the Empire structure to split them up and help them grow. And then it threw us several curveballs where I'm like, wow, we're suddenly into Jedi territory in that Snoke scene.
Yeah, I the first time I watched it, I saw it on opening weekend and I thought, man, this is The Empire Strikes Backwards. But it does definitely have some Return of the Jedi stuff definitely in there as well.
Which is both, I'd say, good and bad. Bad's a wrong word for it. But the feeling coming out of this one is they ended the trilogy in this one when they were riffing off of Jedi, which if they did in the third one, people, probably even myself, would have complained. But... Yeah. The same point, we're like, hold up, we got the conclusion to this story, but we've got one more movie.
Yeah, I was sitting with my friend Luke that I was watching it with, and when
Skywalker?
No, that's not his last name. When Phasma died, he leans over and he's like, there is one more movie to this thing, isn't there? But, it was weird because, like, The Force Awakens was a teaser. I mean, J.J. Abrams is the guy you bring in to do a pilot that makes people interested in what comes next for TV shows, right? And that's very much what The Force Awakens was. It wasn't a great story. It was a rehash of A New Hope, or as we like to call it, Star Wars. And it left you kind of wondering all these questions, and then this one came in and immediately sort of threw out all those questions. Yeah. Luke Skywalker tosses the lightsaber over his shoulder. Kylo Ren smashes the Darth Vader helmet, and it just like, we're going to do something different. And I felt like the purpose of this one was to kind of take these characters and help make them grow, so that coming out of this one, they were in a different place and able to take the story forward, except I'm just not sure where the story is going to go from now unless you tell 3 or 4 more stories of it. Like, it seems like sort of that the trilogy's ended with 2 movies, but also sort of the trilogy is just starting now and only has one more movie to kind of resolve it. I'm not sure how they can do that in one story.
Yeah, and that's a gripe that I brought up in my solo podcast on this last week, where this trilogy, more than the other ones, I don't get it in the sense of, I struggled with words. Like, The Force Awakens, it started where it's like, hold up, we're back to square one of A New Hope. And in this movie, even though it took the Empire Strikes Back model, where it's, let's separate the characters and make them grow, it ended off in the same spot that we started the movie at, essentially, where it's, okay, we're back into our starting positions of the Resistance is the Rebellion, the First Order is the Empire, and Kylo's now the big bad, but other than that, not much has truly changed. Whereas Empire, which is my favorite, the thing with that is, even though it was the similar model of let's split off everybody, like, stuff happened. It ended in a very different position. So much had changed. Yeah. Like, first act, the good guys got their butt whooped, which was such a different thing from the final act of A New Hope. And then we're off at these different spots where it's like, hold up, Hans and Carbonite, is he dead? Is he alive? Luke's Vader's son? What? And all this stuff where it ends on this somewhat optimistic
tone. It's the same thing. Rose is unconscious and Rey's nobody's daughter, so it doesn't matter. It's the same story.
Oh yeah, definitely. Which
she even said "I love you" and didn't get a response.
Hey, there was the no response.
Yeah,
and that's the other thing where it's, I respect this movie for like I said in the last one, going left or going right whenever I expected it to go.
Yeah.
It went the opposite whenever I expected it to go.
Kept you on your toes all the way through, for sure.
But at the same point, along the way, it was just like, all right, let's just tease story, but then toss it aside. Where?
What do you mean by that? Tease story and toss it aside?
Where, like, all the fan theories, like, oh, okay, are Kylo and Rey, like, going to join forces, or is there, let's play on the romantic tension? It's like, all right, that's there for 5 minutes, that's there for 5 minutes, guess what, suckers, no. And looking like, we're not even going to revisit this. Or, yeah, it was, like, supposed to be such a big emotional moment when Rey and Finn reunite.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, I was happy to see the hug, but then you're like, where's this going? Shouldn't they have more time? Can we get more of that? And it's just like, nope, we get a celebratory hug. And then she's looking at him smiling while he's consoling his new girlfriend.
I was wondering kind of
Question mark?
Like, I've heard so much speculation about relationships in there. Are Rey and Finn going to get together? But then is Finn and Rose going to be a thing? But is Rey and Kylo going to think? Like, I've even
Are
heard,
Rey and Poe going to be a thing?
Or Poe and Finn, I've also heard.
Oh, well, yeah, because the internet's like, this bromance has a little... Yeah. It's a bromance, but with a capital R in there. Let's drop the B.
Why can't they just be friends? They should all just be friends. Romance when you're about to die in a rebellion makes no sense anyway. So, I mean, I know that for me and you, we disagree on...
Yeah.
I just rewatched The Force Awakens on Friday and then went and saw The Last Jedi again with my wife on Saturday. And the first time I saw The Force Awakens... Last Jedi. I almost called it Rogue One in there, too. Last time I saw the first time...
so much.
The first time I saw The Last Jedi, I thought it was really... I think it's worth saying visually spectacular.
Oh, that scene, hands down
that scene where Holdo, is that her name? Purple-haired Laura Dern flies into the
Sattler. She will forever be Dr. Sattler.
After she becomes a paleontologist, she goes into the rebellion or the resistance.
Paleobotanist, actually.
Yeah, but sorry. I shouldn't pretend like I'm smart about Jurassic Park around you. Anyway, when she flies light speed into the fleet of the First Order, that scene where he goes silent and it's just like, that was so amazing. I saw it in 3D the first time, which I don't usually love.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. And that whole scene with the skim speeders on Crate with the red was just really visually amazing. So I really like that part.
Sorry, just because you brought up the silence part, that's one of the few times there's actual silence in a Star Wars movie. Because music is such a beast in there. Yeah. It either drives the emotion or it's in the background. It's like a classic film score where it's always present. So in the very rare time it's not, it stands out.
Yeah. Did you hear about the movie theaters that had to post warnings for people? Saying that, like, there is a spot in this movie that where for dramatic effect there's no sound for about 15 seconds that is intended. Please don't complain about it because they've gotten so many complaints. But yeah, no, it was really well done. And I think like that was one of the things right away I was like, that was awesome. I also thought the first time that I really appreciated the way they kind of weaved some of their themes together about being a legend and being a hero. And the way that they did that and hope and all those kinds of things, I thought that was done really well. But the first time through, my fanboy heart was broken by the loser that they turned Luke Skywalker into. Although I suppose you could say similar things about Yoda. And then I also really didn't like the whole side story with Rose and Finn. I thought it didn't go anywhere and it was pointless. So when I went back and saw it again, I was kind of looking at those things, and I really, really like it the second time I threw.
Right.
I think The Force Awakens, when I watched that one, I was like, you know what? These aren't the Star Wars movies that I want. They're not going to be about Luke and Han and Leia being happy and fighting whoever they're fighting. These are made for a new generation, about a new generation. And I've watched 2 movies and they've killed off 2 of my heroes. And now the third one, you know, Carrie Fisher has died actually in real life, so she's not going to be in the next one. So I kind of have to put that aside and say, what are these movies trying to do? And I know that you were confused about what they are trying to do. But I think I really love the character growth that happened in this movie. And I realized when I was watching it this time that whole plan, the side plan that Rose and Finn went on, that Poe sent them on, had to fail. Because Poe needed to realize what it was to be a leader. It wasn't being the hotshot hero with the best idea that was going to, like, sometimes being a leader means knowing when to retreat and knowing when to sacrifice. And you can see that growth from the first time out when he does that cool move with the X-Wing and blows up the guns and loses all of his people.
Yeah.
And then he sees Holdo's sacrifice, and then he gets down to Crate, and he's willing to actually strategically retreat. But it also shows Finn's growth as a character, because he doesn't care, and he wants to get out of there at the beginning just because he cares about Rey. But he also has this reputation of being a hero, which I think kind of mirrors Luke Skywalker a bit.
Yeah.
And through his relationship with Rose and what they experience, he also learns about what are we fighting for. It's not just because we're scared of or hate the First Order. It's because we want to protect the things that are good and that we love in the universe or galaxy or whatever it is. So I sort of felt like the growth of those two characters really depended on that whole plan failing, and I didn't catch it the first time, and so I really thought it was well done.
That's, you know what, that's fair. I can definitely see that, and this is where I haven't seen it a second time, and I want to see it a second time, like I've said, so I can actually enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
And see if I can do that and get beyond the stuff where I was like, man, they did this, where even though I respect, like I said in the last one and to you like 5 times already, I respect the fact that it kept me guessing, even if I didn't like the answers it provided.
Yeah.
So yeah, that part, like I like Finn, I like Poe. I still felt they could have done those stories just better, but I don't know.
Well, you don't like the fact that Holdo didn't just tell Poe what the plan was.
I really don't like that, because that, to me, that, I know we're in a military situation, but it's again following kind of the rules of Star Wars. Like, nobody hides anything from anybody, unless you're the Empire and you're trying to blow up a planet, and then you're hiding that from everybody. But until you do it, and then you're like, guess what, suckers? We can blow up it. We can blow up your hood.
So part of, I think, maybe the storytelling perspective of that is Poe finding out about what happened, what the plan was, ended up resulting in the death of a lot of people, because he blurted it out with somebody who was there that heard it and then betrayed them, right? So I think Holdo holding her cards close to the chest might have been struck like from a storytelling perspective important in that sense. I kind of actually wish they had gone into the fact that Poe needs to realize that he actually caused the death of a lot of people by not only his hot-shotting at the beginning, but also his kind of rebellion in the middle.
Yeah.
He actually, basically the resistance went from, 500 people to 50 people because of him.
Right. And then the Finn story, I didn't care for the side stuff.
Yeah.
Like, the save the animals part was lame. And my wife loves animals, and she's just like, really? We're doing this? Really? And then they didn't really save them, they just let them out.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, hey,
she took her saddle off. What more do you want, Chris?
and then also, you pointed it out to me, and it stuck out like a sore thumb, where it's like, I don't like slave owners. And she's saying this to Finn. I was like, no. In my head, I'm like, no, really? The guy who was taken by the First Order and forced into service? I think he knows a little bit more about this.
Yeah.
Where it's just that kind of thing.
Well, she mentioned growing up on a mining colony or something like that was exploited by them.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's nothing against the actress. She did good with what it was, but it was, to me, the relationship was a little bit kind of forced.
Yeah.
You saw it coming from a mile away.
She was the one that kind of had it together all the way through, right? She didn't need to grow from the perspective of what they were trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Right? She knew what they were fighting for. She knew how to be a hero. And she was kind of a foil for Finn and Poe a little bit in that.
Yeah.
The hopeful one. But yeah.
I still think a bit of it was, you could tell Rian Johnson, I keep on calling him Rain, but it's Ryan.
I don't know.
You could tell Rian Johnson, at least to me, had a story he wanted to tell, and that was the Luke, Kylo, Rey one. Like, that was, and that's where the movie excelled.
Yeah.
Even though it was like, let's tease stuff but then cast it aside.
Yeah.
Let's tease stuff and then cast it aside. Like, that's where the movie excelled.
I still think I liked the growth of Finn and Poe more, but maybe because I didn't catch it the first time and caught it the second time. But anyway, we'll talk about your thing.
Yeah, no. To me, that's where he wanted to do it. As you're telling me this, like, what you're getting out of the side story. I'm like, that's a good side story. Yeah. But then I'm remembering watching it and then just not digging it as much. So it could be I need to see it a second time and enjoy that, or it's like, it could have used a rework. I'm not sure that the side story as is with Finn, I just found this stuff frustrating.
Yeah, fair enough.
Where it's...
So let's talk about Rey and Kylo and Luke.
Rey and Kylo and Luke. I thought it was really well done. Yeah. Like, even though a bunch of people, yourself included, were really upset with where Luke ended off, or where we met him in this movie.
Yeah, where we met him. I didn't mind where he ended off.
I loved it. I loved where he was at.
Oh, really?
I did. Just because, as much as I loved Jedi Master Luke Skywalker at the end of Jedi, I like getting into where he's jaded, because I'm like, okay, this means we're going to be on a journey.
Yeah.
And I like it when characters have stuff going on and have stuff growing. And even better, when I like the scenes they're in and the storytelling as it is.
Yeah.
Weird cow drinking...
whatever those walrus things were.
Weird walrus space cow, which I think was blue milk. Where
it was green milk, actually.
It was green milk. I was just like, this is awkward, but it's funny, and I think it's a callback.
I remember watching that, and they show it, and they zoom down to its nipples, and I was like, why?
Yeah, no, people were weirded out by it, but I'm like, the milk on the face, it's a joke!
Yeah. So, something that just occurred to me is that they really kind of, again, riffed on Empire in subverting expectations about this wizard Jedi Master, right? Where in Empire, you're expecting this great, powerful thing, and it ends up being this funny little Muppet. Yoda, right? Yeah. Whereas in this one, you're expecting this great, powerful...
that he was in Muppet form again and a puppet.
Yeah, not in CG.
Not terrible CG.
Yeah.
and not the awful looking puppet from Episode 1 before they replaced him with CG, because I hate that damn puppet.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about the prequel some other time.
Yeah.
But, and so instead of being this powerful, master who's wise, he ends up being kind of this guy who's given up and is jaded. And one of the things that someone pointed out to me was Luke Skywalker does some cool stuff in the originals trilogy, but he basically gets by on luck and his friends helping him all the time. So, sure, he blows up the Death Star, but only because Han Solo saved him, and Dak died protecting him, and Wedge almost died protecting him.
Yeah.
And he...
Wait, no,
not Dak, Biggs. Sorry.
Yeah, Biggs. Because Dak
is his gunner in
Empire.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes, son.
Yeah. Well, Dak dies too, actually. So, and poor old Porkins.
Which I only learned through watching a Screen Junkies thing. Apparently, larger people have so much beef with that.
Yeah.
Because they're like...
Well, it's kind of rude.
Well, it's not... I never even thought of it.
The fat guy's called Porkins.
Well, they're like, if they gave him a pig nose, at least it would have been kind of funny, but I'm like, I never even thought of it. Yeah. But, yeah.
So, and, he takes down the AT-AT in Empire, but the rest of the time is basically him blundering into traps and almost getting everybody killed and getting rescued by Leia and Lando. And they didn't actually need him. And then Return of the Jedi, he helps save Han Solo and, does a couple cool things on a speeder bike, but really Darth Vader saves him.
In Jedi, though, the Solo thing, it's implied it was all him. It was
his plan. But
it was his plan, yeah.
And I always just think of that Family Guy thing where they do the salute 15 times.
When you mention Dak, as much as I don't like Family Guy, I do enjoy their Star Wars parodies.
Yeah. When they're clean.
Dak being like, I can take on the whole Empire myself. Really? Hey guys, everybody, we can chill. Dak's got this.
Yeah.
And then he flies the snow speeder out into space, which wouldn't work because they're lame.
They're speeders. They're not.
They're speeders. They're not spaceships. Yeah. And then he's like, "Hey, Empire," and I'm not going to repeat the line, but then they just shoot him and it's done.
Yeah, that's the thing about Family Guy is that whatever the guy's name is, he's really funny, but he just goes for the stupid penis joke all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to
The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi. So one of the things I didn't notice the first time is when Rey and Kylo are first linked up, and he asks, "How is this happening? It can't be you. The strain would kill you." So I didn't notice that the first time because obviously the strain does kill Luke Skywalker later on, right? So that makes sense. And I liked the connection they had. I know you kind of were...
Well, I liked it. I enjoyed those scenes thoroughly. It was just one of those, and I didn't like the answer where it's like, okay, Snoke's like, I'm providing this because
providing. Oh, he did it?
I'm the cause of the link.
Yeah,
I'm the cause of this. Where again, it was coming out of the last one. It's like, who's Snoke? He's all powerful, and then we're going to answer this question because that's Star Wars rules.
Yeah.
Whenever there's not an answer, we're going to build this up. This is going to be a big deal.
Did J.J. Abrams direct Mission Impossible 3?
I don't know.
I think he did.
Mission Impossible is your wheelhouse.
Yeah. Sorry, it's not 3. 3? Yeah, 3. 3 is the one where... Anyway, Mission Impossible 3...
It's not the one with the Limp Bizkit theme.
No. Mission Impossible 3, they have all these things in there, and they just don't tell you what any of them are.
Right.
They're just like, it's just kind of the important driving force of the story, but it doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
And it's just a fun action movie. So I wonder if they kind of went with that. Like, you know what? We could answer... And the same thing with Lost. I don't know if you ever watched Lost.
That's... I saw a video by a person. He did something... about Damien Lindelof, or however you pronounce his name.
And Carlton Cuse.
His whole thing is asking questions and getting you to think and asking questions. Yeah. So I think that goes hand in hand with Abrams. But, again, to me, the thing is, like, The Last Jedi, where it boils down to, I love the fact that it was different, and I think that was in response to The Force Awakens, where it was too much of the same, where I enjoy The Force Awakens, but it is a New Hope redux.
Yeah.
And that was a big response from the fan community.
Yeah.
Where we're like, they needed to play it safe, but they played it too safe.
Yeah.
So then in this one, where it's like, we need to subvert your expectations and be different, I think you went a little bit too different.
Yeah.
And then back to the Rose thing, the Rey and Kylo thing. I love that they teased it because it's fun to speculate on these things, but then it's like we got to a point where we cast it aside.
Yeah.
So now if it comes back, and it was a cool feature and I want it to come back, because we've had people being like Jedi and Sith where they can't communicate, like Luke and Vader, like Luke and Vader at the end of Empire where they're having the conversation, Luke and Leia where they're in different spots, and then Vader sensing Luke in Jedi.
Yeah.
That's stuff I want to revisit, but if it's like Snoke's like, no, I'm the big bad, I did this, and now he's gone.
Yeah.
How are you going to revisit it?
Well, and I think part of it, too, is the character growth that you get in Kylo in this movie is that he goes from being this emo Vader fanboy that he was in the first one, who's being manipulated by Snoke. Like, it's clear in this movie that he's being manipulated by Snoke. Like, Snoke even says as much.
Yeah.
I keep this rabid cur on a chain talking about Hux because I can aim him. And then he goes and just starts like emotionally abusing Kylo Ren. Right?
Yeah, big time.
And so you see Kylo growing beyond that, and but also kind of do the same thing to Rey, where he says, you're nothing, you're nobody, you don't have a place in this story except for to me. So come join me. Yeah. So Kylo, like, he kind of is emotionally abusing her and telling her she's useless, and then trying to get her to join him. So I just felt like what they did, it kind of put both their stories ahead, and it was good for them.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like, I like the character growth in the movie. Yeah. I do. It was just, again, some of the stuff where it's like, let's tease story, and it's stuff that had been in fan speculation, which I kind of avoided, but Star Wars lends itself to that. Yeah. Where it's like, let's almost tease every possible thing, but then toss it aside. Like, oh, we're going with this. It wasn't this, but it's this. Oh, it's not this either. Where I like being in a position where we don't know what the next one's going to be. Yeah. I like being in a spot where I don't know what's going to happen, but at the same point, we're back to our starting positions, and you're just like, what? Yeah. So we've cast aside every possible thing.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like they have to, though, right? Like, so J.J. Abrams, one of my favorite TV shows is Lost, and he was involved in the pilot for that and then didn't do anything else. And that whole show was about setting up questions that fans got frustrated because it didn't really answer them at the end. Sort of like X-Files back in the 90s, right?
Right. It's still kind of around.
Well, yeah, they're still doing it, but it's like it ended back then, and they've...
Right, yeah.
Because nostalgia and all that. But you can't tell a good story just by answering all the unleft questions, like by what was left before, right? I mean, they could have answered some of them, I guess, but they decided to try and just tell a good story, I think, and I'm not going to fault them for that. I think it's good.
I'm not going to fault them for trying to tell a good story, but
yes, you are. That's exactly what you're doing, Chris.
I'm faulting them for how they did it.
Yeah. Well, and I think what I would like to see. Sorry, you were talking.
And you brought up like you can't answer all the questions, and I'm not saying you have to, but coming off the prequels, and we're not going to get into all their flaws because there is too many.
Yeah.
But at the same point, like at the end of the day, that one
there's one flaw. They suck.
But at the end of the day, like that one was story driven. It asked questions and answered them.
Yeah.
And it didn't answer all of them.
Yeah.
So I'm saying like you could do something like that just without sucking.
That's how you get midichlorians, right? You try to answer the questions too much.
No, that's not even how you get midichlorians, because they answered the question in the first place.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what's the Force? Oh, it's this all-encompassing thing. I'm good with that. Yeah. Where it's like, no, let's change it and expand upon it. Where it's like, everybody was good with the first answer. What are you doing?
Yeah. Can I just say two things I really still don't like about The Last Jedi. One is Leia in space. I thought that was ridiculous. Yeah. My wife pointed out to me that I didn't have a problem with it when they did it in Guardians of the Galaxy, but I really just thought that not only has Leia never shown any kind of Force stuff before, but time's gone on, whatever, but just she survived space somehow, and why didn't she bring Akbar with her or something? So I just didn't really like that. The second thing is that whole cavern experience with the mirrors with Rey. I'm not sure what that was supposed to be and or how that was the dark side. Like, it didn't feel particularly dark to me. At least the part in the tree with Luke Skywalker, well, I still didn't really get it. I guess it hinted towards his dad, but it felt pretty dark.
The Empire one, I found like so many people are like, the scene is weird. Whereas to me, I've never had a problem with that scene. I'm like, it's setting up that this could be you if you fall to the dark side.
Yeah,
it also does lightly set up like you're in Vader's bloodline. The cavern scene, I was like, okay, this is cool visually, and its whole point is to riff off of Empire.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I have no idea what it's communicating, but I'm kind of good with it.
But she was supposed to, like, it made her feel alone so that she goes back to Kylo at the end. But it didn't feel like that's the dark side. Like, it didn't feel like this is evil. This is the, like, evil calling to her and offering her something. Like, well, what did it do? It just trapped her in a mirror.
Well, I think with that, like, to me, you just answered your own question. It was the dark side being slightly different, where it's not like, here's evil. It's supposed to make her...
That's what the dark side is, though, isn't it?
No. The dark side is evil. But it's also supposed to seduce and call. So it's making her feel alone. Being like, the only person who can call to you, like, who you can connect with is Kylo. And Kylo's with me, sucker! Okay. Like, when you're answering that, I'm like, oh, okay, that could be... But that's the thing.
I'll take that.
This movie is very much like, it could be this, it could be that, but let's not answer.
It might have been a little bit less subtle, but it would have been cool if it in the end when she sees herself in the mirror, it would have been her next to him or something like that.
Yeah, something. And as for the Leia in space thing, I said in the last one, I get it, and this is where a line of dialogue would have been good, or something where it's like, she is a Skywalker, she's strong in the Force, we've seen her feel when Han dies, we've seen her be able to communicate with Luke, just something about Jedi training and almost like instinctually. But at the end of the day, it didn't bother me. This is one where I was like, I thought she was dead. Going into this movie, I'm like, she's not going to come out of this movie. She's dead.
Yeah.
So when they came back to it, I was like, oh snap, there's no way she's dead, because people would say this is horrendously offensive.
Yeah, that would be a bad way for her to go out when she died.
Like, if she died in space, like if they cut it where she got sucked out in space, that's like, okay, bye, Leia. But then when they show the body in space, I'm like, there's no way that she's dead now.
But you know what would have been better?
Because this is where people it's horrendously offensive. Yeah, the Supermaning visual wasn't that great.
I would have loved to see, because Kylo was going to kill her and then didn't, and someone else killed her. Like, right? I would have loved to see him pushing her back into the I think that would have been a better way of doing it, maybe. But anyway,
but then that would have placed his whole like, I'm the big evil butthole now at the end. Not actual butthole.
That's a way of putting it.
But I'm the big bad at the end. That would have put that more in conflict. Although there's still question, like, is he absolutely evil because you saw him hesitate with Leia?
Yeah.
Like, and what's going to happen in the next one? Is it going to be Abrams being like, okay, I've got to play Undoing because I'm wrapping this up.
Yeah.
And I pitched this story the week this one got released.
Let's talk about where we want to see it go, like for a few minutes, because you got to go. But
I got to get to work. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because some of the stuff I want would undo this, and then we're like, at the end of the day, I feel like we're getting to the starting point with this third movie, and that's what I'm frustrated with. I think there was a lot. I still think there was a lot of mileage out of Luke, and you could weave it, and unless you weave him in a Force Ghost way, but even that might feel redundant.
Yeah.
I just thought there was a lot of mileage out of that character where he went on the journey and then he got back. And I'm not even, as much as I did want to see him wreck AT-ATs, there was, in retrospect, and people pointing out, there was enough pointing out where he wasn't really there.
Yeah, like when they actually zoom in on Kylo's foot and you see the red when he slides it, and then they zoom in on Luke's and you don't.
Yeah, and he's using the blue lightsaber, which had been destroyed.
But Kylo apparently didn't know that, according to Rian Johnson. But let me
how did he not? Because he was there when it got ripped.
But he was knocked out, and she had both halves. Anyway, one thing I was thinking of is, I don't know how you conclude this story in one movie unless you jump ahead 15 years or something. And they've been fighting this fight, and then they're older, and they're at the end of it, and it kind of just gives you the scrawl of what's been going on. Like, I'm not sure how you conclude it otherwise in that sense, because Daisy Ridley has said that she only wants to do one more movie. She wants to do 3, and then she's out. So,
which you can't blame her for.
Yeah, for sure. She doesn't want to be not Princess Leia, but ready for her whole life. Like Carrie Fisher was Princess Leia. Although I would argue that Daisy Ridley is a much better actress than Carrie Fisher was. No disrespect, but
that's
she's also a much better actress than Mark Hamill, as you could tell from those scenes.
But I would argue here, like, Mark Hamill was amazing in this movie. Like, I thought it was my favorite Mark Hamill acting performance out of all.
I kept hearing the Joker when he talked, and it just drew me out of it.
I didn't hear it that much, but I'm going to try to keep an ear out for it.
There's just one part in particular where he's like, "You don't know what you're talking about," or something like that, and it's just like, whoa, that's the Joker's yelling at her. But one thing that I would really like in the future is I want to see... So I'm reading the X-Wing books from the 90s right now.
Yeah.
They're not amazing.
Well, that's the thing with the expanded universe.
Yeah.
It was either... There was a lot that was good, and then there was a lot that was bad.
Yeah,
and then there's very little great stuff.
Yeah, so I think the X-Wing stuff is the story that I want to hear. It's about the taking of Coruscant, right? And how they do that, and it leads into the best Star Wars, maybe best Star Wars stories that I've ever experienced, which are the Heir to the Empire trilogy by Timothy Zahn,
right?
Which is Luke and Leia and Han, and Leia and Han have their 2 little kids, Jason and Jaina, when they're young, and they're trying to kind of deal with the Republic being a new thing after Coruscant's been taken.
Yeah.
And Grand Admiral Thrawn, who's this amazing villain, comes in and he finds a Jedi clone who's gone crazy and like uses him. I think you could do a really good
Seaboff.
Yeah,
but then you also get Luke.
Yeah, you could do this. You could do a pretty cool adaptation of that with Leia and Han with Ben and with Snoke instead of the crazy Jedi clone. I would like to see at some point like a in between episodes 7.1, 2.3, or however you do that, telling that story. And I think that would fill in a lot of the questions we have, like who is Snoke?
Yeah.
How did the First Order come about? All those kind of things.
Which I get that they, like, a lot of it is, well, we're doing the new expanded universe, so if you want to get these answers, they're in the comics, they're in the books, and yeah, stuff I'll read, but part of me still, at the end of the day, like, put it in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of have to.
Well, and I think what it would do, I mean, obviously they have to recast, but they've already recast Han Solo anyway, right? But part of what that would do is it would make me feel better as a Star Wars fan about the movies that they put out, because I like, generally speaking, these 2 movies, and I really like Rogue One. But I want Luke, Han, and Leia stories.
Yeah.
I don't want these stories as much as I want those ones, and I think that would be just, I don't know.
If you could do like I would have said Netflix, but since Disney in a couple years is going to have their own streaming thing, like there's no harm doing a cartoon or a CG one. Like, if they're wrapping up Rebels,
Yeah.
why not do, like, Disney event movies where it's telling this stuff? One of my favorites, and it might have been because it was the first one I read, but one of my favorites, and I still love to see adapted, is Shadows of the Empire. Like, I'd love to see you get that adapted. Or with this trilogy, one of the things that didn't make sense to me, and I know they're not going to do it, would have been like Starkiller Base, how it blows up the thing and it's like another trench run and all that.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're cherry picking stuff, like, do the friggin' Sun Crusher out of the sequel trilogy, the Jedi Academy trilogy, because that was the original, that was the sequel trilogy to the Heir of the Empire trilogy.
Okay.
And
I haven't read those ones, but
okay, like there's stuff
I know
like,
I've heard of the Sun Crusher or Star
where, but it's like this. There's stuff where people could have beef with it, and you can cherry pick, and I get that, but I like it.
I think they're running out of really big destructive things. They got Death Star, they got Star Killer, they got Sun Crusher.
The thing that was great about the Sun Crusher was it was a 2-person ship.
Yeah.
But it had torpedoes that it would fire into a sun, and like it was a chemical composition where it's essentially it would offset that star, and that star would supernova. Where I'm like, the best thing about that is it slips in unnoticed. But you can't do that now because you can't do the planet busting stuff anymore.
Yeah, they've done it too much.
Yeah.
So we're not sure how it's going to end.
I'm not sure how it's going to end. I'm trying to figure out what I want out of it. I want resolution, but the problem is we're still almost at a starting point.
Yeah, they've come back to...
The characters have grown, but we're back to our starting positions.
Yeah.
And then... Yeah, out of Rian Johnson's trilogy, I want a proper trilogy where it's mapped out.
Yeah, I think
that's what I want.
Yeah.
And out of Star Wars movies as a whole, I'd love some Old Republic, some Knights of the Old Republic.
Can I just dream big here and say, can we just remake the prequels? I know it's not going to happen, but I would love that.
Yeah.
At this point, if I was doing a Star Wars watching order, I would just say skip those and just watch the Clone Wars cartoon.
Well, and normally I'd recommend the anti-cheese cuts like I did in the last podcast, but they've been taken down off of YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yep, so I'm lucky I ripped them off of YouTube.
Piracy. We're all for it. I'm just kidding.
Well, if it's a fan film, their whole thing is like, we're not making money off of this.
Yeah. And you actually own the prequels anyway, right? So
exactly. I actually own the prequels, so in this case, I'd be like, yeah, I bought them. I saw them in theaters for some reason more than once. Which, as a younger kid, I was like, yeah, Star Wars theater. Whereas now I'm like, man, I was an idiot. Why would I pay to see Attack of the Clones like 3 times?
Yeah, why would you?
I was young, Steve. Man. I know.
I didn't even see that one in theaters.
I know.
Anyway, well, we're getting rambly.
Yep, we're getting rambly, and I got to get to work. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed. And again, what did you think of? I almost said Attack the Clones. Actually, for sake of it, what did you think of Attack of the Clones? In my head, it is the worst.
The worst.
It is the worst Star Wars movie. We're going to do this sometime soon. We're going to have a prequel conversation.
Sorry, not the worst if we count the Christmas special, the holiday special.
Of the movies, it's the worst.
That's a movie.
It's a special. Not
see you next time.
Yeah. See you next time. Hope you guys enjoyed, and let us know what you thought. God bless, my friends. Bye. Take care.